Hello, my name is Melanie. I'm the Training Compliance Manager at AttriX. Today, the purpose of our training will be learning about Geotab Drive, and I'm going to be using this user manual that we created here at AttriX to make sure that you understand everything in your application on a daily basis. So the point of having this training is to make sure that we take the road to your compliance. So transitioning from a paper log to an electronic logbook could be sometimes a bit complicated. So we want to make sure that you understand every point through this and to make sure that also everything is simple. So there's different steps that you're going to need to follow to make sure that you're compliant on a daily basis. So you're going to be logging in. Second step is going to be connecting to your assets. So assets will be truck and trailers. You're going to also add shipments if ever you're going into the US, which we'll see a bit later on. You're going to do your compliance check. After that, you're going to perform your DVIR. You're going to start your work shift. During the day, if you need to take a break, you will indicate your rest periods. At the end of the day, you're going to do your check and you're going to log out only once you get back at your terminal. So to log into Geotab Drive, basically, you need to go on your app store on your iPhone or on an Android platform. You're going to go on your Google Play and download the Geotab Drive application. Once it is installed, you are basically going to click on it, and it's going to bring you to this page where it's going to ask you to enter your username, which you will, and you will press here next. Next step, you'll enter your password. Make sure that your password, you know it by heart, and it's case sensitive to cap locks also. So make sure that your password is entered properly. You're going to go log in. Next step is you're going to select your vehicle. So basically here you're going to have a little search tool so you can search the truck number or the license plate number. The location of the trucks that are the closest to you right now will also appear in the bottom. Once you found your truck, you select it here. If ever you do have a confirmation saying confirmation required, if you took the good truck and there's a current driver that is assigned to that truck, you're going to have a message here to confirm. Do you want to associate yourself to that truck and dissociate the driver that is mentioned above? So if you would like to continue, you press yes. If you want and you made a mistake to change trucks, then you would press here no. Usually, if the person previous to you did log out properly, you will not have this message. Next step here is selecting your assets. Once you're selected your truck, you're going to appear here where it says trailers. To attach a new trailer, you press on the little blue plus. It's going to bring you to this screen where you have search trailers. So you can enter the unit number or the license plate number, and once you found a good trailer, you just press on it here. Once the unit is selected, it's going to be on top of the word continue, and you make sure that you only have the assets that are really attached to your truck at the moment. So really important, you do not attach trailers for a bit later in the day. You just attach the trailers that are really attached to your truck at that moment, and you do continue. If ever, in the scenario that the trailer does not exist, it's going to be really important that in the title here, so we're in the search bar, you're going to write down the unit number followed by the license plate number. This is mandatory to make sure that we have the good license plate for your DVIRs. Once in the name, you did enter the unit number and the license plate number, you create here the new trailer by pressing add. To add a shipment number, here you guys going to bring you to this page and you click here shipment, do the little plus. You need to add the shipper name, the commodity, and the shipment document number. This is mandatory in the United States only. Once everything is set up, you press on save and continue. The application is going to bring you to verify your logs. The verify process is the signature. So basically when you're doing a paper log, you need to sign your logs on a daily basis. So it's the same thing, but you need to do it within the Geotab Drive application. So here, once you see verify logs, you're going to see every single status that you did do. If they are in gray with the little green hook, that means you did verify those logs. Once it's verified, you click on the top here, verify, and it's going to have this little pop-up that it's going to tell you, I hereby certify that my data entry and my record of my duty status for each listed 24-hour period are true and correct. So I simply press yes. Really important, if you don't check your logs daily, so if you don't press verify, you can get a fine that is pretty expensive. Once you've verified your log, the system is going to bring you to unassigned logs. Unassigned logs will be created if the truck did move and was assigned to no driver. Okay, so if somebody, let's say at mechanics, and they took the truck and they did fix something on your truck, we're going to have unassigned movements. So the system is asking you, do you want to claim those logs or not? So if you did move the truck, it's important that you actually select those movements and you do assign to me. In the situation where it's not you that did move the truck, it's going to be important here to simply press on skip. Next step is going to be DVIR. So DVIR means Driver Vehicle Inspection Report. So it's really important here where you have your asset inspection, you're going to have the vehicle and the trailer. Here you have the vehicle number. You're going to have the date and time from the last time the inspection was done for whoever in your database, basically. So all the other drivers would have been done. So there's different steps that you need to do. First step would be here to certify and inspect the application, not the application, sorry, the last inspection, okay? Once you certify your previous inspection, it's going to start your work shift automatically. So your period of inspection, so your on-duty time starts at that point. If ever you have declares, you have defects that are found, it's really important for you to declare them, and you need to fill up all other information that is requested, okay? So to do the first step, you certify previous inspection. If ever your previous inspection has no defect, this is what you're going to see, okay? So basically, we want to make sure that we review the previous inspection. We make sure that the last person did not declare a defect. And if there was a defect like here, you can actually see, was it resolved? And we can see here that it's repaired or not repaired. So the fact that we don't have the previous inspection did not have a defect, we just click certify previous inspection. In the situation that the previous inspection had a defect and the resolve has been repaired, just make sure that is this certified as safe or is it unsafe to basically use this asset. To perform your DVIR on your vehicle, okay, really important here, the first thing you need to check is to select the proper defect list. So if your equipment is based in Quebec, you need to make sure that you have Ronde de Sécurité Liste 1 to be compliant to the Quebec mandate, okay? If your asset is based in the rest of the Canada, you have to make sure that the defect list here is called Schedule 1. So you're going to have here your list, let's say for Quebec, it's going to be written in French and in English. If there's no defects, you do not select nothing here. In the bottom, you will have the inspection location. So you would see the location of where the truck is located at that moment. You could add here remarks if required. In the section Other Information, if it's required for you to enter the height of the load or the width of the load, you can enter it here. In the situation that you do oversize, you can add the information at that specific place. You're going to save the new inspection. So it's going to ask you to select an inspection type. So at what time of the day are we at now? Is it in the morning? So we would do, let's say, pre-trip. Would it be during the day? We could select in-trip. Or if it would be at the end of the day, we would go post-trip. We click here to see that there's no major or minor defects found. And we're going to have a little pop-up here where it's going to say, I declare that the vehicle shown above has been inspected in the accordance with the application requirements, and I press yes. So at AttriX, we did build up this little add-in that's called Signature, which we're going to follow in the training so I can show you where to set up that signature. But that signature is going to be applied on that DVIR at that moment. In the situation that you have a defect on your truck. So you have to declare it, right? So same process here, but then we're going to go and select whatever point that has the defect. So here I'm going to select the category lamps and light. So let's say I have a minor on a lamp. So I'm going to select, is it point 8.A, 8.B, 8.1. So visually, this is going to help you to see that in red, it means it's a major. If it's in black, it's a minor. So you select here what you need to do, and you can add a remark to say, let's say it's the third lamp that is burnt. Inspection location will remain at the same place. You could add extra remarks if you want. Other information if required. And here, once you're going to go and save the new trip, it's going to ask you the inspection type, same thing, pre-trip, let's say. And here, instead of being in green where it says no major or minor defect found, you're going to have here done. So you press on done and you're going to sign at the same time your DVIR with defects. Once you're going to do the trailer inspection, same thing. Make sure here that your list is Ronde de sécurité liste 1, remorque if you're in Quebec, and is Schedule 1 trailer if you are in the rest of the Canada. Okay, so list is going to be here. The difference between a truck and a trailer. The truck is plugged in directly through the ECM, so we do read the odometer of the truck. But on a trailer, if there's a hub meter on your trailer, you need to go in and enter manually here the basically the odometer here. Okay. If there's no hub, you don't need to write it. If it's broken and you don't have access to information, then you don't need to write nothing. So here we do pre-trip, same thing. We do no majors or minors defect found, and we press yes. If there is a defect, it's the same process. So we select the good list. We make sure here that we select the major or the minor. We enter the hub meter if required. Here we enter the inspection type and we do done. Whenever you did declare a minor or a major on your assets, once you're going to get to your dashboard, here the DVIR section is going to say one log needs repair. So once you click on it, it's going to bring you to your DVIR section where you're going to have your truck and your trailer, and you're going to have a little message here that's going to say unresolved defects. So here you click certify and inspect, and it's going to bring you to certify the previous inspection, and here it's going to be written unresolved defects. So if the repair has been done, then you're going to go in and write down the remarks. And it's important for your admins, for you guys to add remarks. So how was the repair done? Was it done by the garage? Do you have a PO number? Was it done by roadside inspection? Was it wherever information? Did you repair it by yourself because you had a light that was in stock in your truck? So you write down remarks here and you click repaired and you click save. It's going to ask you, is it certified as safe or certified as unsafe? Okay, it's really important. It's prohibited to drive with a major defects. It needs to be repaired before the next drive. We also have the possibility to select not necessary. So let's say I declare that I have a burnt light on my truck today. So I have 48 hours to repair it. Tomorrow morning, I need to redo a new pre-trip because it's been 24 hours. So it's going to ask me here to certify previous inspection, and my defect is still there, so it's unresolved. Because I'm still in my 48 hours period, right? So I can just write down in my notes here, let's say still in my 48 hours. So, and you can click not necessary and do save. Really important, the next time that you're going to do your DVIR, you're going to need to declare that the light is still burnt because it has not been repaired. If ever you did your pre-trip and your on your truck and your trailer and there's no defects, it's going to bring you directly to your dashboard. Okay, so there's different here buttons that could be present or not depending on what add-ins you guys have. So, but in all times you will have your hours of service, DVIR, messages. So HOS is the hours of service. This is where you're going to click to see your availability, your violations, your graphs, your logs, basically anything that you see in here. DVIR is if you need to perform a new inspection on your truck or your trailer. Messages is a messaging center with your admins. DVIR history is something that we created at AttriX that gives you the history of the last 14 days of your DVIRs. Signature is where you need to click in and add your signature, and that signature is going to be saved in your system. It's going to sign your DVIRs and your log also. You're going to have roadside inspection, which is going to help you to do your roadside inspections in Canada. Here, little truck means your assets. So this is here where you're going to be managing your truck, trailers, and your shipment numbers. We also have the inspection mode, which is going to be used if you do have a roadside inspection for the US, and a new compliant way in Canada coming in place shortly also. You have your settings. On the right side here, there's this little word where it says more. If ever you want to activate the dark mode, so the back end of the Geotab Drive application will be black instead of being white. So to manage your assets, so during the day, whenever you're going to start driving, it's going to go and drive automatically. Whenever you're going to stop for more than 5 minutes, your status is going to go from drive to on automatically after 5 minutes of a full stop. Let's say you're stopped at a customer and you need to switch your trailer. So you're going to go in and you're going to go in the application here, click on this little asset button, and it's going to bring you to basically the same page at your login. Now we need to remove a trailer, okay? So if ever you did have a shipment number, you can remove your shipment number. If you're switching your trailer, you can remove the trailer or the shipment number by pressing the little black X here. Whenever you're removing a trailer, the application is going to ask you, you're about to detach that trailer. Would you like to do an inspection? So you have the choice to do the inspection or to skip that inspection. And it's important to follow the procedures that your company is asking for. Whenever you're performing a post trip, okay, so if you do inspect, it's really important that whenever you select your inspection type, then you would select post trip, okay? If you need to attach a new trailer, then you're going to do the same thing you did at the beginning of the day. You're going to press that little blue plus, and you're going to find your asset, and it's going to ask you automatically to do a pre-trip on your new trailer. If you're removing shipment documents, okay, so you press here little X. Let's say you're empty. It's really important that you guys here in your shipment document number, write down empty. You can add up to 25 shipment documents in here, and you need to manage them. Whenever you're unloading something, you need to remove that shipment document number also. To remove yourself from that specific truck, let's say you switch your truck during the day, you would be able just to remove the truck. It's going to ask you here to find a new vehicle. If you're working out of a truck, let's say in the yard for the next 5 or 6 hours, you would be able to assign yourself also to no vehicle. And it's going to bring you back to your dashboard so you can manage only, let's say, your hours of service. There's different add-ins that AttriX did create. So we did create a health report. So with the COVID-19, basically we created this health report that is private to yourself. So you can fill it up daily or whatever your company is asking for. And it's to make sure that your company follows health protocols with the COVID-19 situation. There's also an add-in that could be added that is called border crossing. So you can press on this button. It's going to ask you, do you want to be in Canada or in US to switch your rule set? The signature application is, like I said, it is mandatory. So in that little square, it's going to be important that you go apply your signature and you press save signature. Once it's done, it's going to appear twice. You can just go out of the add-in and it's going to be saved forever. There's an add-in that could be added in your application also, which is called ELD Info. So it is powered by Geotab. It's going to give you the mandatory documents. So something that is important that you guys know, you need to always have a user manual that is available in CAB. You need to have documents on the transfer guide, on ELD malfunctions also, and those documents need to mandatorily be physically in CAB at all time. We also created the CTPAT add-in. If it is something your company is using, you're able to fill it out electronically. Canadian hours of service. So just a quick recap, basically, we use mostly here the Canadian south of 67-day cycle 1. This is really important that you guys follow all the requirements. So Geotab Drive calculates basically everything in a compliant way. So we follow the day and workday requirements. So basically in a daily requirement, it's important that in that specific 24-hour period, which usually would be the midnight to midnight, that your driver needs to have a 10-hour off-duty time. So in that time, there's the 2 hours of off-duty that is not part from the required 8 hours consecutive of off-duty. And those 2 hours could also be split up into breaks that are not less than 30 minutes. And it's important that you guys understand that if you take a break of 25 minutes, it is not counted for your workday. Next condition is your work shift. So work shift is the time that is spent between 2 periods of minimum 8-hour consecutive of off duty. Okay, so if you could take an 8-hour rest, you will start your new work shift. It is prohibited to basically drive after 13 hours. If you accumulated 14 hours of on-duty time, or there's a maximum of 16 hours that has elapsed. So between 2 work shifts of 8 hours of break, you need to take your 2 hours, okay? That 2 hours could be split up in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 45 minutes. It's fine as long as they are between those 2 hours. There's 8 hours of rest. Okay. You can combine that 2 hours to your 8 hours. So let's say in the situation that you do take a 10-hour consecutive off duty period, it is legal also. The cycle is 70 hours for 7 days, and every end of your cycle, you need to take a 36-hour break. For the US, so we work mainly here is USA property 70 hours, 8 days. So this is for transportation of and not passengers, so really transportation, okay? So work shift 24-hour period is going to start after a 10 consecutive rest period. So after you did a 10-hour consecutive rest period, your work shift starts, and it is for 24 hours. In that 24 hours, you may not drive. Since the beginning of your work shift, there's 14 hours of service that's been accumulated, 11 hours of driving, and every 8 hours of driving period, you need to take a 30-minute driving break. Okay, so you need to take an on-duty time of 30 minutes at least, or off-duty, to be able to continue driving past 8 hours of driving. So we have here, let's say, a 10-hour rest. You would have your work shift, which is 11 hours of driving, 14 hours of service, and your another 10 hours of consecutive sleep. And make sure that between those two rests, within 8 hours of drive, you need to take a 30-minute driving break. Since September 2020, the US actually have a new rule set, which is called 70 hours with split sleeper. So this is going to give you access to basically split your 10 hours within 2 periods. So it is allowed to actually take 7 hours of sleep and a 3 hours of off or sleep period. It's going to give you also access to do a 2 hours of off duty and 8 hours of sleep, or you could be able to do 2.5 and 8.5. Okay, so to make sure that you are compliant to this, the minimum time to take of off or sleep period is at least 2 hours, and the other involved is at least 7 hours of sleeper berth, and both together must add at least 10 hours. Okay, so when it's used together, neither the time period counts against the 14-hour driving window. So you can have a 14-hour driving window or a 17-hour service window. This is really interesting when it's properly used. So to make sure that if you want to do a split, you need in Geotab Drive to assign yourself to the cycle USA property 70 hours, 8 days with split sleeper. There's different exemptions that do exist in the application. So there's the adverse driving condition, yard move, personal use, and off-duty referral, which is only applicable in Canada. Okay, so you need to follow the rule set that you are into. So the exemptions are not seen the same way in Canada or US. So I'm not going to go through this today. If you do want to have more information, you can actually take the time to read everything that is in here. And to make sure that you do have those exemptions, you need to make sure that your admin, whenever he set up your driver profile, gave you access or not to those exemptions. Whenever you want to see your hours of service, so on your dashboard, you click this little clock and you go in your HOS. Here you're going to have 2 tabs, status and logs. Status is going to give you the 4 statuses, which is off, which is a rest period, sleeper berth, which is the rest period that is passed in the sleeper berth, on duty, which is on duty, not driving, and your driving time. So there is here basically your rule set that you're going to see and the little pen. So if ever you want to change your cycle to, the rule set from Canada to US, you can just use that little pen here to switch from a rule set to another. The start of day cannot be changed. So the start of day is going to be, for the Canadian rule set, the same hour from your whole cycle. So usually it would be midnight to midnight, and that your work day is going to calculate with that. Whenever you are in off duty, it's going to tell you here, or in sleeper berth, the rest duration. So in this situation here, I've been in off duty for 1 minute. The application is going to tell you here your driving left. So here I have 12 hours and 8 minutes of driving left, which is on my 13-hour driving. My 14-hour duty, which is my duty left here, I would have the time, my work day, which would be my 16 hours. I would see how much cycle time I have, how much cycle left. Time left until 24-hour rest. So every 14 days, you need to take a 24-hour period, a rest period, except if you go over your 70 hours per 7 days, where you need to take, in that case, your 36-hour reset. You're going to have your rest required here. So if you have a time that appears here, that's the time that is required of off duty. So your 2 hours that is required between your 2 work shifts of 8 consecutive hours would be here. And you would also have here your off duty required. So the off duty required is the time that is the off time that needs to be calculated between midnight and midnight. So from your start of day until the end of your day. You would see here view cycle recap and view exemptions also. So off duty required is a lot, it could be confusing sometimes, okay? So let's say I'm on day 1. My start of day is midnight, like it's written here. So from midnight to midnight, I need to have a 10-hour off duty. So here, let's say I started my off duty at 11 previous day, and I would go from midnight until 7 a.m. Okay, so I took an 8-hour consecutive rest. Here I would have 8 hours that is accumulated, and I would start my first work shift. During my work day, I still need to have 10 hours. So let's say I took an on duty to do my inspection, I did drive, I did my day, I took a break here, I continued my day, and finally I finished my work shift at 8 o'clock. And I did at this point 9 hours of consecutive off duty. Between midnight and midnight, I took 12 hours and 17 minutes of off duty. At this day, which is day 2, I only took from midnight to 5 a.m. So I have only 5 hours here of off duty. Because my work shift starts after 8 hours, and between 2 work shifts I need 1 hour, it's telling me here my rest required is 1 hour. So at this point also, wherever I am going to be in the day, it's going to tell me I'm missing 5 hours of off duty, because from midnight to midnight, I need to take 10 hours. So if I start my work shift at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you guys know this, right? At 5 o'clock a.m., you have 14 hours that can work. So you need to finish your day at maximum 7 p.m. So if you go here midnight and you go 1 hour would bring you to 11, 2 hours to 10, 3, 4, 5. So maximum you need to end your day here would be 7 o'clock. Okay. And from 7 o'clock until midnight, it's 5 hours. So 5 hours here and 5 hours there brings you back to your 10 hours. So your status management, like I said previously, you have automatic status and you have manual status. For the Elog to be compliant, your Elog is going to be plugged in the ECM, and they're going to follow basically the movements of the truck. So whenever the truck goes faster than 8 kilometers per hour, you're going to start, and your system is going to go and drive automatically. Whenever you stop driving, so the vehicle has not been in motion for more than 5 consecutive minutes, the ELD will confirm that the status and the truck is not moving. It does take 5 minutes. The reason behind this is if ever you go at a stop sign, you're stuck in traffic, we don't want your log to go from drive to on to drive. It's going to be a lot of management in here. You do not lose that 5 minutes. The 5 minutes is going to go backtrack, and it's going to give you to the second that you were stopped. Your on duty is going to appear at that time. There is manual statuses. So manual statuses are actually the 4 status here. You do not need to press drive except if you're out of a network area. Okay. But the system goes from drive to on, from on to drive. If ever you're stopped, the truck does not know if you are in off duty, if you're in sleeper berth. So you need to indicate those manual statuses by pressing on them. So you press off or you press sleep. Just to make sure whenever you're taking an off duty time on the Canadian rule set, it's really important that your break time is minimum 30 minutes to be counted. Every minute exceeding those 30 minutes are counted also. So if you take 37 minutes, it counts for 37 minutes. Whenever you're off duty, a tip or a trick that I can actually give you, if you press on after you're starting here, you would maybe have a pop-up. So here I have a good example that I've been in rest for 20 minutes. I did press on and I have this little message saying break interruption. So I've been rested for 21 minutes. The minimum break is 30 minutes. Would you like to change your status? If you press yes, then you're going to lose that break. If you press no and you wait an extra 10 minutes, then you're going to have your break counted for the Canadian rule set. To apply an exemption in your hours of service in the bottom here, you would see view cycle recap and view exemption. So you click on it to apply an exemption. So here you just go apply today, depending on what you're looking for, or you want to start. Just to be careful, whenever you're using the personal convenience, okay, so it's related to the ignition of the truck. So before you start moving, you need to apply this exemption. You're going to enter your annotation and go apply. Whatever movements that you're going to be doing are going to be considered as off-duty because they're considered personal movements. So let's say you go at a restaurant. So you leave your truck stop and you go at the restaurant in personal convenience. Whenever you leave the restaurant to go back at your truck stop, then you have to apply the exemption again, because whenever you're going to remove the exemption, you're going to turn off the ignition to off-duty. It's going to go back to off and not in personal convenience. So before you leave the restaurant, it's really important that you apply the personal convenience again. Hours of service, your recap. So if you click on this, you're going to see how much hours you have available tomorrow and how much hours you did recap in the last previous days. In logs, in here, logs, basically, it's going to give you access to the last 30 days. So this is your log, and it's important that you keep this log for you. And whenever you are doing or having a roadside inspection, this is not the way to present your logs. So here, basically, if you click on the date, you're going to have the last 30 days, or you can use the arrows that would be here. You would have the current day, the status, all your graph here would be there. So you would have from midnight to midnight, you're off, sleep, drive on, and all of your graph is going to be there automatically. So there's a little magnifying glass that you can click here, so it's going to put your graphic a bit bigger also. On the right side, you're going to see the total hours that you did during that day. You're going to have different colors that are going to be there. To be compliant, you need to verify your log daily. The only log that is not verified, that should not be verified, is basically the current day. So every previous day should always be green. On verified logs, the graph here is going to be gray. If you do have violations, it's going to be red. And if you have a qualifying break, so this little blue bar is going to give you basically the 2 hours that is required between your 2 work shifts. You're going to have here the total distance, total amount of hours, your status, you're going to have your annotations, the date, time that did start, the location here. And just for you guys to know, you're going to see the town. And this is what is required by the ELD for the Canadian and the US ELD mandate. So previously we had the full address in Canada, but it is required in the Canadian mandate to only show the town. So it's going to be like this shortly if it's not already in your system. Here you're going to see the duration of every status, like same thing, okay? So this is basically your log. If ever you need to edit an automatic status. So in this situation, like you can see here, I completely forgot to log out yesterday. So my truck was parked and I just went from driving to on duty and I did not switch my status. It is your responsibility basically to correct this. So it's really easy shot. So in your logs here, like I see, I have no more hours. I'm going to go in my logs and I'm going to click here. Now you guys have 2 options. You select on the graphic or your status, both work. You're going to click on it. Once you selected your status here, it's going to have the status. You're going to have this little pen beside your on duty. And you can see that my duration of on has been for 14 hours and 58 seconds. So I want to switch this on to off. Really simple. You click on the pen. It's going to open up a little pop-up saying choose your new status. So I want to put myself in off. I'm going to have a message saying you can't edit automatically on-duty status logs. Would you like to create a new status with your changes? You press simply yes. It's going to take your status from being in the bottom. It's going to bring it back to the top. You can see here I had violation, which I don't see anymore. And it's going to write an annotation by itself saying generated to attempt and edit automatically on log, which is completely compliant. In the situation that you need to edit the time of a status, okay? So let's say here I have an off duty between 2 on duties, which I did not take the proper rest required. So here, because it's between two on duties, I'm going to be able to change here the date. So if I have a little pen beside the date, then I'm able to modify this. So I'm going to click on it, select whatever date and time I need to actually send this to, and do done. Whenever you're editing a manual status, you need to add an annotation and press save. You are not able to annotate you're not able to edit a driving log. So in the fact that you forgot to log out and somebody did move the truck, you can just press on the driving status here and write down a note that you forgot to log out and press save, but it's impossible for you to actually switch that status because you did forget to log out. In the situation here where, like yesterday, I forgot to log out, I need to keep some on duty time, okay? So if you can actually go back here, I switch here my whole status from on to off. So I went from drive to off. I needed to add on duty time at that point. So instead of switching here my whole status, I want to press on add log. When you press add log here, it's going to ask you what status do you want to switch. So you can select off duty. You're going to select the date and time. So you can here press, I want to switch it for May 12th at 8 o'clock at night. I did select off duty. I added an annotation and I pressed add. So I can see here that I have my whole day. And after my drive, I kept the time here for my on duty, and I did put myself off duty afterwards. If ever on your dashboard or anywhere in your application, you do have this little red bar, it's really important that you guys understand the diagnostics and the malfunction events, okay? So if you have this red bar that says your ELD has malfunction, it's really important that you click on it and you see whatever is written in there. There is a guide at the end of this specific guide. It's the malfunction guide. You can actually see what codes means what, but it is up to your responsibility to advise your admins that there is a present code in your ELD. If here you have logs that require an action, Geotab is going to give you a little pop-up here under your logs to say that there's an issue, okay? So an issue could appear because you have unverified logs. If you did forget to verify your logs yesterday, you're going to have this little pop-up, so you can click on the day and you just press here on verify and you go agree because you did agree that that day is correct and compliant. If ever you do have no network, everything is registered in the cloud, but at that time you need to switch your statuses manually. So if ever there's no network and you press drive, it's going to ask you where was that. So you're going to be able to click on it and add in the address, the city, Quebec, the state and province, Quebec, Ontario, whatever, and press OK. Okay, so that's going to add the address manually. So if ever you do have this pop-up that says there's a required action, it's really important for you to actually add and take action on this. Last step is going to be logging out. Okay, so to log out, it's really important that you press on the whole guy here on top, or you press on your name and you go log out. You need to follow all the actions that the system is going to ask you to make sure that you properly log out. So you click here and you go log out. If it's asking you to do a DVIR, you have the choice to actually certify and inspect the truck and the trailer, or to skip the inspection, up to you. And up to you depending on your admin is looking forward. It's going to ask you here, do you want to remove your shipments, remove trailers? You can keep them or remove them depending on the situation. Do save and continue. You're going to verify your logs here at the end of the day, verify all days, and you're going to update your status to off duty. So even if you're currently in off, it's still going to ask you this message. So you press off and you go verify and log out. It's going to turn. It could take a couple of minutes, but it's really important for you to actually take the time to log out of the application and wait. If ever you're working outside of the vehicle, this is little extra tips. You can just log in and press no vehicle. Like I said previously, from your hours of service, just put yourself at on duty, okay? If ever your app needs an update, logging out, logging back in could help. If not, you can go in your setting menu. You're going to check for updates, and this is going to work also. If you are working as a team, it's really important, first of all, that both of you use the same phone to, or the same tablet to the application. So the first driver is going to be logging in. You're going to click on plus here, and you're going to add in the information of your co-driver, and during the application, you can go between one or the other session, and you're going to choose here who is the driver. So you make sure that the driver will here is beside the good driver. Okay. So the steering wheel is active beside the good driver also. Connection status, little tips here if ever you have this little red triangle. It could be here vehicle connected, Geotab Drive connected, GPS disconnected, okay? So for your information, vehicle disconnected means that the telematic device, so the ELD is not communicating with the server. It could be due to a network issue or loss of power to the device. Make sure, so if you're in the area that there is network and we're having this message, then it could be an issue. Geotab Drive disconnected, this is going to happen whenever your mobile device has no connection to the server. So make sure that your data connection is on if you are in a network issue area, make sure that your device is not placed in airplane mode. GPS disconnected, so this is going to actually appear whenever the GPS is disconnected with your device. So make sure that the environment that you're into is proper. If ever you have power disconnected, so the driver is at risk of losing device power for their mobile device. So it's just telling you basically that your phone is not charging or your tablet is not under charge. In a situation that there's no network, you're going to actually have a pop-up. Sorry, this one is in French, but it's going to tell you here that the application has no network at the moment, and it's going to tell you to do your logs manually. For roadside inspection in Canada, AttriX did create this little roadside inspection button. So you can use this until the actual Canadian mandate regulation is on place. So if you click on roadside inspection, it's going to ask you here, first of all, are you in US or in Canada? So you can click on Canada. You're going to be able to see like the good language of the agent. So in English or French, you enter the email address and you press generate. It could be a little tip for you guys. You can actually enter your own email address and generate to do a practice. Roadside inspection, if they're looking to having the DVIR history, then you can click on DVIR history. If you would like to send it by email here, you just select send, select the language, enter the email address, and you select send on whatever asset you need to send your DVIR to. If you need to actually download it, so you can click on download and it's going to download in your mobile device. These documents are mandatory to be kept in cab. So inside of roadside inspection for the hours of service. So on the dashboard, you're basically going to select the inspection tab here. Okay, it's going to ask you to enter a 4-digit PIN. That PIN is not preset. So you basically select your own PIN every time. Okay, so once you did select the PIN, you enter it here and you can confirm your PIN again. It is not mandatory, but it is a good point to have. Okay, so here, if you are in Canada, here it's going to have your hours of service. You're going to enter the email address of the agent and you're going to click here on transfer Canada. If ever you are in US, it's going to automatically detect under what country you are. In US, they work with eRods. So eRods, basically every DOT agent has his own code. So you're going to add in the code of the agency here and you're going to click on web service. In both cases, if it's not working, you're going to be able to show your log on the screen by applying compliance print here. If it is working and the DOT needs to exit, he's going to press here exit. You're going to enter the PIN to exit the secure mode, or he's going to have to log out. So compliance print, for your information, is available whenever you have poor cell phone coverage or even no cell phone coverage. So this is always available to show on the screen. And it's going to be used in the fact that you're not able to transfer your log properly. So in the inspection mode here, you click on compliance print. You can select French or English, by the way, also in the application. And the DOT or controller will have access here to switch the days and have access to the last 8 days in US, 14 days in Canada. They would see here the graph, every change in status for the driver, login, log out information, this change of rule sets, comments, malfunction, unassigned movements are all going to be at the same place. If ever you would like to show DVIR on the screen also, so beside your hours of service, there's DVIR on the same screen, so you can click on it, press simply view. So if you want to view the truck or the trailer, if there's defects here, you can see that have been declared repaired or not, and you would be able to see also the list that was used for the inspection at that moment. Same thing to exit, you enter the PIN that you did enter at the beginning and you do continue. Or if you forgot the PIN or the DOT does not have it, it's going to log you out of the application. Same documents are available in French. It's important that if ever you're going in Quebec and the rest of the Canada, that you have these documents in French and English. And you're going to find all the documents also related to the malfunction events, that what is the code, what needs to be done, and you can follow the steps on this. So thank you for your time for today for the Geotab Drive applications. If you have more questions, you can go visit our website at www.attrix.ca. Thank you again.